students, welcome to my YouTube channel Professor Siddharth Ropade from Pune. So today we are going to learn what are the types of arguments in function. So as per my last video or last series, I told you that there are two types of functions, right? There are two types of arguments. So what are they? So first one is compulsory argument. Okay, compulsory argument, and second one is optional argument. Okay, so these are basically two types of any kind of argument into the function. So compulsory argument, and second one thing is optional argument. Okay, now how to trace them? So there are specific signs on which we can trace them easily. So first one rule is compulsory arguments are without bracket, and second one thing is optional arguments are with bracket. Okay, so this is very easy way you can trace them. So compulsory arguments are without bracket, optional arguments are with bracket. Okay, now my third one rule is there can be more than one compulsory or optional argument. There can be more than one compulsory or optional arguments in one function. So I told you in my previous videos that there are more than 400 functions, right? So most of them have more than one or two or more than that compulsory and optional argument. So there is no specific limit that how much argument should be there. The arguments can be changed accordingly to the function. So fourth one note is each function have various different arguments. So there is very less possibility, and I think so most of the functions have different qualities, and as per their different qualities they have different kind of arguments. So each functions are different from each other. Okay, and some of the functions have zero arguments. It means they are argumentless. Okay, so some of the functions have zero arguments. It means they are argumentless. Okay, so these are the qualities of any kind of functional arguments. Okay, so what we have seen, like compulsory argument, optional argument, these are two types. How to trace them? Compulsory arguments are without bracket. Second one thing is optional arguments are with bracket. There can be more than one compulsory or optional arguments in one function. Fourth one rule is each function have various different arguments. And my last one rule is, which is very rare, some of functions have zero arguments or they are simply argumentless. Now what are the arguments? We have already seen in our previous video, like if I type is equal to network dates international, right? So if I type these function, so it has four basic arguments. What? Just see here that network days international. So these are four basic arguments. First one is start date, second one is end date, third one is weekend, and fourth one is holiday. So these are my arguments. Okay. Now, as per my notes, how you can trace them? So you can simply see that start date and end dates, these are compulsory argument. These are what? Compulsory argument. Why? Because they are bracketless. Okay, they don't have bracket. So these are two compulsory argument. Now if you look at the weekend and holidays, okay, these are optional argument. Okay, these are optional argument. Why they are optional? Because that arguments are with the bracket. Okay. So now coming to the point that you can see, so compulsory arguments, okay, I will write down here my 6th point. This is very important point. So compulsory arguments are necessary to be filled up, and 6th one point is optional argument are not necessary to be filled up. Okay, so what I want to say is that if I type is equal to network days international, right, which we have seen most of the time in my previous video, right? So network days international, these are the compulsory arguments. So if they are compulsory, they are necessary to be filled up. Like start date and end date, necessary to be filled up. But if this is a weekend and holidays, they are not necessary to be filled up. You understood? Right? Because they are in bracket, they are not necessary to be filled up. So if you ignore them, if you simply ignore them, it's okay. Your function will definitely generate the answer for you. But if you ignore to fill up these compulsory arguments, then your function will give you simply an error message on your screen. You understood? So my 6th and 7th number points are very important. Compulsory arguments are necessary to be filled up. Second one thing, optional arguments are not necessary to be filled up. Okay. Now coming to the point, why compulsory arguments are necessary to be filled up and why optional are not necessary to be filled up. So these are the logical questions, and we need to see a proper example of these two questions. We will find out the answer of these two questions, that why compulsory arguments are necessary to be filled up and why optional are not necessary. So coming to the point, just for this video you should remember that these are the two types of arguments, compulsory and optional. Now compulsory are without bracket, optional are with bracket. Now we also seen that there can be more than one compulsory or optional argument. So yes, if you see the structure of this function, there are more than one compulsory and optional arguments. Yes, so these are the two compulsory, start date first one, end date second one. So these are more than one, like two compulsory. Now optional, weekend and holidays, This is also optional. So weekend and holidays, these are also more than one, that is two optional argument. So this is not necessary that there should be only one compulsory, there should be only one optional. This is not necessary. Each function have different arguments, right? Now coming to the fourth point, each function has various different arguments. So if you look at the VLOOKUP function, now these have three different kind of different arguments, which are they are compulsory: lookup value, table array, column index. So these functions have different arguments compared to network days international. You can simply see, so only one optional argument is here. Okay, so as per function, their chassis of the arguments are changing comparatively. Okay, now some of the functions have zero arguments, they are simply argumentless. Okay, they are argumentless. So if you look at is equal to today function, now below the today there are no arguments. Okay, so today have no arguments. Now coming to the another one function, now is equal to now. So this is also the time and date giving function. So now has no arguments. So if they have no arguments, they will simply give you immediate answer. So now is giving you the current time, current date and current time is equal to today. This is also argumentless. So you just need to enter, you don't need to fill up each and every functional options. So today is an argumentless function. So if I simply enter this, today is giving me today's date. Okay, so you can simply see that some of functions have zero argument, they are argumentless. You don't need to think too much about them, you can simply enter them. So these are the 5 basic rules and 6 and 7 2 more logical rules. So 5 are basic rules about the functions, about their qualities and their types, and 6 and 7 are the logical rules about the arguments of any function. Okay, so this is how these are the details about their arguments, and I think we need to see the logic behind the creation of this compulsory, okay, and optional argument. So what is the logic behind compulsory and optional arguments? Like why Microsoft has done dividation, why they have created some kind of partition between arguments, like why they divide them into optional or compulsory. There is a strong logic, and with the one of practical example you can come to the point, you can definitely will get clarity about why Microsoft has created dividation within these two argument types. So compulsory are necessary to be fill up, optional are not necessary to be fill up. Okay, so we will see one of the practical example in my next video in order to clear these two concepts. Okay, so once you see the practical example, you will get definitely idea about all these things. So today we have to stop here, and I think I told you as much as possible what are these types of arguments in function. So it's sufficient for today. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you.